The Shadow Shack, a fanfic by Jasmine. Before I start, I'm going to tell you all that this picture that I found has foreshadowing in it, and not just for this chapter, but for the end of the whole fanfic, so I will give you 5 seconds to marvel at it. Okay. Chapter 9. The new room was huge, with one piece of broken roof letting moonlight stream in. The room stretched out and was gray and dull. Huge, ornate pillars held up some of the roof. At the opposite end of the room, there was a pillar, like a pedestal almost, that looked like something was supposed to be on it. It seemed like this was the room that the artifact used to be in, but now it was moved. The pounding at the door eventually stopped, and Fluttershy relaxed a little. Applejack walked over with possibly the only piece of wood in the whole house that wasn't decayed, and stuck in the door. "There we go," she said, giving the piece a final thrust in. "Now this should keep that unicorn out." "Come on, the artifact has to be in here somewhere," Rainbow Dash insisted. "This time, I'll take the lead." Rainbow Dash just nodded and took place right behind her. Next came Fluttershy, then Rarity, and Pinkie, and last again. This is where things get intense, people. Just a warning. After wandering around for a little bit, they ventured towards the other end of the room. Hardly had they taken a few steps had they heard a quick, cut-off cry and saw a shadow whisk around behind them. They spun around and saw that Pinkie Pie was no longer there. "Oh my!" "Pinkie, you there?" Applejack called into the chamber. "Do you think if the unicorn has her, she can reply?" Rainbow Dash retorted. "It's worth a try." Applejack bit back. "Guess we shouldn't fight?" "Yes, fighting will get us nowhere, except maybe where Pinkie is," Rarity added. "Okay, yeah, you're right. Get into a circle, backs to the center," Applejack commanded. "That way the unicorn can't catch us from behind." The friends obeyed and went around with backs together. It was much harder to maneuver, but at least they wouldn't be grabbed from behind. They kept an eye out for anything that looked like the artifact, the unicorn, or their friend. Meanwhile, the captured Pinkie Pie struggled against the shadowy unicorn holding her. She kept trying to talk, to call out to her friends, but even she didn't know where she was. All of a sudden, everything slowly turned black. The unicorn was placing a spell on the poor pink pony. The circle continued along, slowly but surely. A shadow darted along one side, and instantly the friends looked among where it had been. A small whimper was heard from Fluttershy, and the circle continued along. A crack was heard from above. They looked up, but saw nothing in the rafters above. "I'm scared," came a whine from Fluttershy. "Don't worry, we can make it," Rainbow Dash reassured from the other side of the circle, but there was still some uncertainty in her voice. "We can still find Pinkie Pie and the artifact. It'll be all right." Just as she finished speaking, something fell from above. A flash of pink. Pinkie Pie landed in a crouch nearby the circle. Her friends were overjoyed to see their friend alive, but something wasn't right. For one, her mane looked different, almost flat, and for another, she was holding a knife in her mouth. Pinkie darted forward to the nearest pony, Rarity. She thrust the knife, but must have missed because nothing happened. Well, besides Rarity and Fluttershy screaming and the friends scattering, the crazed Pinkie darted across the room, pinning Applejack and making vicious stabs. They all hit, but the knife did no damage. The knife was made of foam. Fake. Pinkie made a glare as if marveling her stupidity, and then darted away into the shadows, throwing the foam knife as she went. Applejack remained frozen in terror for a second where she was pinned. Rainbow Dash, who had taken to the air, was at a blank. Fluttershy had darted away as fast as she could and was hiding under a small pile of rubble. Rarity, sprawled out on the floor, was gasping and looking all around in confusion. Finally, Rainbow Dash spoke up. "What happened to Pinkie? What was that? Is every pony okay?" "Fine. I think fine." "Fluttershy, where are you?" Rainbow Dash called out. "They're here," she whispered, poking her head out from the rubble. Rainbow Dash lowered back down onto the ground and sighed. "Well, now we know what happened to Pinkie Pie. Come on, back to the circle." "I will," Applejack said, standing back up and retrieving her hat, which had fallen off when the now insane Pinkie Pie had pinned her. "I found a mistake." Most interrupted telling ever. Okay. The four continued along, watching out in the rafters as well as around the room. They were about halfway along the corridor when the rafter above gave a creak. They looked up immediately, braced for another Pinkie drop-in. A scream. Fluttershy was on the floor, with Pinkie Pie wielding yet another foam knife and trying again to attack. Rainbow Dash wasn't that startled that time and immediately rushed forward to pin Pinkie. Rainbow yanked the foam knife out of her friend's mouth and threw it aside. The crazed Pinkie Pie struggled against Rainbow Dash, growling and glaring with a psychotic, murderous look. Then, all of a sudden, Pinkie stopped struggling and her expression became utterly blank. Her mane seemingly sprung back up and she gave a few confused blinks. "What? Dashy? What happened? Where are you, Mommy? Why?" Pinkie Pie started, and she looked around just in time to see both Fluttershy and Rarity faint. "What? Are they okay? What happened?" she screeched. "Dashy, let go of me, please!" Rainbow Dash saw her friend was back to normal, as in no longer wanting to kill them, and got off. Pinkie hopped up and said, "Explanation, please! What happened? Why did Rarity and Fluttershy just faint? Is every pony okay?" "What happened with you?" Rainbow Dash inquired. "You tried to murder us!" "What?" Pinkie screamed. What? "Luckily, you only seem to find fake knives, so no harm done," Applejack said with a sigh. Pinkie still looked utterly confused and terribly frightened, and was left just stammering uncontrollably for a moment, before it looked like realization struck. "The unicorn! I remember now! She grabbed me! I tried to get free, but then it was her! She put a spell thingy on me, I think, and what happened to Rarity and Fluttershy?" "Oh, they just got, a little scared. A lot scared." I need to go to bed. I just need sleep."